Hey everybody, welcome back to TechOdyssey. So today I'm here to talk about BlackBerry. And the important thing about BlackBerry right now that I want to discuss is, will this comeback story actually be successful? Will it work this time? We know that OnwardMobility is working on the brand new BlackBerry 5G right now. It's going to be running Android. It's going to have a physical keyboard, 5G, the whole 9 yards. It's supposed to be a flagship phone, which we haven't seen in a very, very long time. Really not since the Android era. I mean, maybe kind of the Priv, but everything after that, maybe some, but mostly kind of mid-tier stuff. So the idea of getting a flagship camera, the idea of getting a flagship battery, flagship performance, those are some really nice things if you're a BlackBerry fan and a BlackBerry user, but is that enough? Will the loyal BlackBerry fan base be enough to carry this over and sell enough units to be, well, considered a success? And will it move enough numbers? Or are there other factors that need to be taken into consideration? Because in 2021, there's some serious competition right now. LG just hung up the towel. LG, no more phones. So in a landscape where Samsung and Apple are more dominant than ever, does BlackBerry have a chance? And that's what I want to talk about in this video. But before we get into this, I do want to say if this is your first time stopping by the channel, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. Let's talk about some BlackBerry. So I've got here in my hand the BlackBerry Mobile Key 1, and I thought I'd go ahead and pull this one out of the drawer to talk about this first because we're kind of in a new stage. We were all excited about the BlackBerry Mobile licensing agreement. The BlackBerry Mobile Key 1 was the first product of that licensing agreement, and I have one right here. This is actually the black edition. Came out a little bit later, addressed some of the initial problems with the RAM, the screen falling out, general things that are terrible if you're trying to make a comeback. So first and foremost, with OnwardMobility, they have to get this right. There cannot be any quality control issues. There cannot be any performance issues. It can't be, wow, it has issues with RAM because it doesn't have enough. Wow, the screen's falling out of it. There are problems like that that will immediately derail any sort of comeback effort at all as soon as it comes out of the gate. I mean, if you show off this amazing, wonderful brand new phone whenever they eventually get around to put it out, well, if you have problems with it and it's broken, it has keyboard issues like the Key 2, it has home button issues like the Motion, these are just problems that the brand will not be able to sustain. And people will be all over it saying, well, same old BlackBerry. Well, they tried, but obviously they're just not the people for the job. So that number one, they have to get it right. And I'm glad that they paired up with FIH because FIH, I have a lot of confidence in them. They did a great job. Foxconn, I mean, that's who they are. They made the BlackBerry Classic impeccable, remarkable, still holds up well to this day. So that is problem number one that they have to avoid. Cannot have that issue whatsoever. Two, the phone needs to move the fan base. Now, I don't think the fan base is enough to make this device a success. This isn't like the Unihertz Titan where they build it by the batch. This is not a small little micro device that they're going to make batches of, small runs. This is something they're talking about being a global flagship. They're talking about US, Africa, Europe, Middle East, and even Asia, which will come out later on down the road according to Peter Franklin and their distribution plan. So this is going to be a global flagship phone. That means that it's going to be widely available in a lot of different places. They said they were in carrier talks with the North American carriers. So I don't know what kind of contracts, what kind of agreements, what kind of shelf space they're going to get with this thing, but it's supposed to be, at least from my understanding, a widely disseminated phone. That means that they are going to make a lot, which means that people are going to have to buy it. Now, they did hire on a vice president for government contracts and international sales, so that was two different positions, by the way. And those two things right there told me that they're really trying to get businesses on board, get the government on board, and I think that that is a really important part of this puzzle. Because when you look at the BlackBerry fan base, a lot of people have moved on. It's been since 2018, since we got our last BlackBerry phone. We're coming up on 3 years now. The BlackBerry Key 2 is almost 3 years old, and they're harder to get. people's space bars are failing, people are grabbing other devices, and we've been waiting a long time for this new one. They announced this during this licensing agreement, whenever it was entered into, middle of August last year, that this new phone would be available the first half of 2021. There's not much of the first half of 2021 left, so hopefully we'll find out more information soon about the phone and when we're going to be able to get it. But those question marks, those are questions I get all the time. I have people that message me weekly if there's new updates. I have people that direct message me. I have comments. I get tagged. So looking at the future landscape, we're still waiting for this phone to get here. Every day this phone is not here means other people are considering looking at other phones. Some of them even moving over to Unihertz phones. And I don't blame anyone one bit, because if you need a phone, you need a phone. And the history of BlackBerry is we're always waiting. I mean, look at how long it took them to get BlackBerry 10 out with those devices after the Storm debacle. That was a long time we were waiting. They completely scrapped one project, moved on to the next one, and came up with BlackBerry 10. So they need to get the phone here soon. But this isn't just something I think the BlackBerry fan base is going to be able to bankroll. Yes, I'm sure that people will go out and buy it, but I even have people who tell me that because it's not a BlackBerry 10 device, they're not going to buy it. Well, that's people's choice. If that's how you feel about it, then that's fine. I totally understand. Go buy another phone or hold on to your other one that's going to reach end of life in January 2022. But that's just another consideration, because part of the BlackBerry fan base is fragmented. That means that not necessarily all of them will want to hop on board. Then also you have people who are not early adopters, so they may want to wait and see how well the phone does before they move over to it. So there are a lot of question marks out there that need to line up. They need to make sure that they get this contract somewhere. They need to make sure that this is in the hands of businesses who want it. So hopefully out in the private sector and the government sector, hopefully they're able to secure some contracts to get people who want to get these and use them long term. Also, we need the BlackBerry fan base. Also, hopefully it's an attractive enough form factor and device that people will see it on a store shelf and say, hey, I want to get that. And they're going to have to do the marketing. And that's the next piece of this triad of things that need to happen. It needs to be perfect. It needs to be appealing. It needs to be marketed. So this phone, I mean, if historically you look at BlackBerry, they just don't market. And if they do market, they don't market well. I mean, look at the Super Bowl ad that cost tons of money years and years ago. So they're going to have to do targeted marketing on this. That means, one, getting it into tech reviewers' hands, widely disseminated. This isn't one where you need to just give it to like 4 guys and then hope that it does well enough that it receives good reviews. It needs market presence. It needs people in the tech community to be able to get this in their hands, test it out, and put it out there for people to see. That's a very grassroots level of getting information and kind of like a social media campaign. But it also needs traditional marketing. It needs to have a commercial. Commercials are good. Whether it's a TV commercial or an internet commercial or even YouTube advertisement. However they go about this, it needs to be marketed. There needs to be people, one, pushing the message out there saying, hey, this phone exists. Not salespeople, but people just generally getting the information out there. I mean, as soon as BlackBerry Mobile announced that they were terminating the licensing agreement or it was going to be expiring, there was a ton of search index pickup. I mean, there were lots and lots of people that started looking at BlackBerry stuff. So once this phone is available, it needs to be like, it's here. Like, hey guys, go out and buy one. It's here. It needs to be here. It needs to be available. It needs to be available day one where people can pick it up. Hopefully be able to go into the store and get one, order one off Best Buy, order one on Amazon. I don't know where they're going to have this, what outlets they're going to use, but it needs to be available. It needs to be marketed. People need to know about it. People need to know how much it costs. People need to know that they're back, and whatever messages that they have to go along with this phone. So hopefully they engage with some sort of a marketing company to help them develop a good strategy for this. But Onward Mobility has to make sure that people know about this phone, that it's available, that they're back, and push that as hard as they can. So those are the big things that it needs. BlackBerry needs to make sure that it's a well-made device, that it's a true flagship like they're talking about it being. They need to make sure they secure some contracts and get something other than just the BlackBerry fan base to buy into it, and then they need to market it. And all three of those things working together, I think, are a model for success. BlackBerry Mobile did a terrible job of marketing. They did not get government contracts. They did not get professional contracts. They did not get this phone out in the workplace. They did not support it. And that's another thing. The fourth part of this puzzle piece is support. Support for the BlackBerry Mobile devices has not been good. So you had bad quality control, bad devices that had issues, and then bad support. So they need to let people know that they are here. There needs to be a nice warranty that goes along with this. They need to inspire confidence that it's going to be around for a while. That means they need to offer at least 3 years of support. Because if they don't offer at least what the industry standard kind of is nowadays, even LG, who's going out of business as far as their phone handset division, they are not making any more phones. They're saying that their latest phones are going to be supported for 3 years. 3 years. Google supports their phone for 3 years. Apple is like forever so that they support them. Samsung's 3 or 4 years. So BlackBerry is going to have to, through Onward Mobility, offer at least 3 years of support. And that's also something that's going to have to assure people, because there have been so many comeback stories with BlackBerry. Like BlackBerry 10 was supposed to get everything back on track. BlackBerry Mobile was supposed to get everything back on track. This is like the third comeback story. Like, I don't know how many Cinderella stories most companies get, but this second licensing agreement is basically, it's going to have to work, or I just don't have a whole lot of hope for the future. So they got to make sure that it's a good device. They got to make sure they get it embedded places where it's going to have long-term purchase history for people who are going to buy it. They need to make sure that it gets marketed, and it needs support, so that way that also inspires market confidence for people to buy it. So those 4 things, I think, are the key to success for this licensing agreement. I think that those 4 things are the key to success for the phone and us being able to have a continued BlackBerry presence in the smartphone industry. This, of course, is something that capitalizes on BlackBerry's goodwill. People like a comeback story. People, I think, generally kind of like BlackBerry now. There's a lot more popular sentiment going around, especially since the stock has been performing so well for the last couple of months. So that, along with all the other engagements and cooperative things that they're entering into with Amazon, with all the QNX stuff embedded in the vehicles, this new one with Volvo, there's a lot of big things that BlackBerry is doing that will help lend support to the name of BlackBerry for this licensing agreement for the phone. So I think that we're in a good place right now as far as market reception, as far as lots of different devices that are being made that are outside the standard slab. So I think maybe people might be interested in a physical keyboard again. It's a good selling point. It's something that I think is appealing to more people than probably ever right now, because of all the different types of phones that are really making people think, well, maybe I don't just need this normal slab phone anymore. So obviously I hope this works because I'm like the biggest BlackBerry fan in the world, and you guys watching this are also the biggest BlackBerry fans. We love our physical keyboards. We love our BlackBerry phones. We want it to work, and it has to work. So if it doesn't, then I don't know what we're going to do. But hopefully it does well. I can't wait for this phone to get here. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to have a flagship BlackBerry in my hand. That is going to be so amazing, having a phone that has high performing specs, and ideally is going to be really amazing, as opposed to like this mid-tier, not really supported well, not marketed well, kind of phones. Yes, we like the key phones, the key series devices, but that's because that's all we got. And ideally, I would have preferred that it was a better, more powerful, better quality device, but it's what we got. So looking into the future and what it has in store, I hope that it's successful. I think if those 4 areas I talked about can be met, I think that there is an opportunity for success, and I hope the best, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens. So that's all I've got in this video, but that's something I was thinking about, because hopefully we'll have this new device soon, and just looking at the prospect of it being successful. Is it going to be a one and done? I hope not. Hopefully this will be the next jumpstart of many phones that we get over the course of many years. That would be great if we could revitalize the phone brand and people fell in love with BlackBerry again, and the world will be a better place because of physical keyboards. So that's all I've got, but what do you think? Do you guys think it's going to be a success? Do you think it's going to be a hit? Do you think that even if it's a great phone, if BlackBerry has a chance of succeeding this time, or if it's going to go down the toilet like BlackBerry Mobile? Who knows? Hopefully it's going to work. We love our BlackBerries. We want them to be around for a long time. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments, and we'll talk about it. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I'll get back with you as always. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.